Jai Hind everyone. So today we are just going to cover the next important lecture from unit number 1 of performance and reward management subject. In this lecture we will discuss about the performance planning. As you know that there are four important steps in the performance management process. We discussed in our first lecture like it is the performance planning, then performance managing, then performance appraisal, and then performance monitoring. So today in this lecture we are going to discuss about the performance planning. When we talk about the performance planning, this is the very important and the first step in the performance management process. If we go with the definition of it, it says that performance planning is the systematic outlining of the activities. It is all based on the skills, knowledge, expertise, and capabilities required to attain the activities in the organization. So performance planning is somehow like it is all based on the kind of the activities which are required to be completed in any organization. You can also define it as like it can be defined as the expectations, the results that are required to be achieved by the employees in the organization, and all that kind of the planning is based on the skills, knowledge, and expertise of the managers, and the skills, knowledge, and expertise and capabilities required by the employees to attain these results. There are few characteristics of the performance planning. It is the like foundation stone of the performance management. It starts with the organizational objectives and ends with the performance criteria. It includes the commitment of employees. Like without the commitment of employees, performance planning cannot be successful. It is the important managerial function and integrated part of the performance management system. It is a tool to help individuals contribute their best to an organization. Actually, if somebody is joining your organization and if he is aware about the performance criteria, like on which kind of criteria he is going to be judged, so that employee can perform better. So that's why performance planning is very much crucial in any organization. There are various objectives of the performance planning. It may be at the organization level, at the manager level, and the employee level. First, it is important at the organization level because it helps in clearly defining and communicating to the employees the organization mission, objectives, and strategies. It provides the appropriate resources, support, and training to the employees. It ensures that employees receive feedback on the continuous basis, and it also helps in aligning the job description with the organizational objectives and strategy. It is a tool which helps the employees in boosting their morale. So that's why it is very important at the organization level. Again, at the managerial level, it helps the managers just to set the goals jointly in consultation with the employees. It helps the managers to clearly articulate performance metrics used to measure employee success in meeting agreed goals and targets. It also helps in providing the training wherever required by any employee in the organization. And it is a complete system in itself which helps in giving the feedback to the managers as well as to the employees. Again, it is very much important and there are a lot of objectives at the employee level also. Like employees used to get the targets, they are aware about what exactly is required by them to perform better in their workplace. To view manager as a counselor, sometimes the employees view their managers as a counselor or a mentor rather than someone who just only passes the judgment. And even the employees get the feedback on their work, so that's why this is also one of the objective. Then to develop self efficacy for providing information on self performance, so people feel good in them, like they are aware like what exactly is the kind of the criteria or the performance criteria on the basis of which they will be judged, and they try to perform better. So these all are the objectives of the performance planning. Now the next important thing, like how to set the performance criteria. Like when we talk about the performance criteria, it may also be called as performance standard, performance expectations, or goal. And it is very important. You can say it is like a heart of the performance planning. The main problem of maximum organization is that they are not able to set the proper performance criteria, out of which the employees, the managers faces lots of the problems. So therefore the challenge is that like one should know that how to set the right performance criteria. Like if we go with the definition of the performance criteria, it may be defined as what an individual needs to accomplish in order to be deemed competent based upon a specific competence statement. Like whatever an individual is required to perform as a part of his duty. So if that kind of the thing is written in a form of a statement, so that can be called as a performance criteria. Before any appraisal is conducted, the criteria by which performance is to be evaluated should be clearly defined and communicated to the employee. For example, you have joined any organization as a sales manager. So as a performance criteria, like they have given you some quantifiable measure that you have to just sell at least 25 units of the product of the company in which you are working. So this kind of the criteria exactly guides the employees what exactly is required as a good performance from them. So that's why performance criteria is crucial, important, significant for any organization. It is essential that performance criteria must be established so that employees must be aware about the expectations of the management. So that's why performance criteria is good, should be set before just doing any kind of evaluation of the employee's performance. Then accordingly the employees' performances are measured. There is a process of setting the performance criteria. Number one, specify task and results. It is the duty of the manager of any organization just to break apart all the organizational objectives into the manageable task. And then the second thing comes, like once all the organizational objectives are divided into the various manageable tasks, then they are delegated to the employees. And once they have been delegated to the employees, the targets and the standards for each employees are set, and the whenever any goals are set for the employees, they are set jointly in consultation with the manager. Then the next thing is determine the measures. Like whenever you are assigning any kind of the target to an employee, it is a duty of you as a manager that you should just specify the clear metrics that this is the kind of the measurement on the basis of which we will measure your performance. There may be various measures on the basis of which the performances can be evaluated. It can be the quantity, it can be quality, time, cost, effects of effort, manner of performance, or method of doing. Then for every task there is a deadline. So the time scales are also set and the goals are also prioritized. Like whenever there are a lot of the things that the lot of the tasks that the employees have to perform, so in that case the goals are also prioritized, like what exactly an employee is required to complete at the first instance. Then there is a rate goal performance also, like whatever the employees have done, their performances will be rated based on the specific criterias. And in the organization, if anything is like mainly dependent on the team efforts, in that case the managers must make certain plan to measure each individual employee's contribution. So this is all like how the performance criteria works in any company, in any good company, in any the companies in which really there is an good and kind of a performance management system. The companies like Dell, the companies like TCS, Wipro, maximum number of companies, even the Navratna companies are using these kind of the procedures. Now the methods of the performance planning, like there are various methods with the help of which the performance planning can be applicable or can be applied in any organization. It can be the key performance areas, key result areas, task analysis, task and target identification, and goal setting exercises. Number one is the key performance areas. Like this is the portion that I have taken from the book of Mr. TV Rao. The name of the book is Performance Management and Appraisal Systems, HR Tools for Global Competitiveness. Like how we can define the key performance areas. When any person joins any organization, so he used to get certain categories of the work, certain categories of functions which he has to perform. So that all kind of the areas comes into the definition of the key performance areas. For example, if any fresher or any person has joined a company as a sales officer, so his key performance areas can be contacting the potential customers, market survey for new products, and attending to the customer complaints. So these all the areas in which you would be required to work whenever there is a proper gist of that, so that can be called as the key performance areas. The next important thing is the key result areas. Key result areas are the critical kind of the aspects, or you can take it as like the operational objectives which an employee is required to achieve if he want to be a good performer in the organization. It can be defined as the broad level of responsibilities for which an employee is accountable. It is actually derived from the departmental goals to which the employee belongs. It splits the overall job of the employee into various set of the activities and the areas. Now, like there are certain steps to determine the key result areas for the different roles. First, the employee should just enlist the day-to-day responsibilities, and then he should just think about every activity, that why I do this. Then he should just review the answers to the why questions, looking for the common themes or areas, and then the KRAs must be identified for these themes, and then these kind of the themes may be shared by the managers to the prospective employees or to that kind of the job profile. So this is the process, that how the KRAs may be like can be identified in the organizations. Like there is a difference between KRA and the KPA. Now like it confuses, like there is a confusion, like the term key performance areas and key result areas seems to be the same. Is there any difference between them? Yes, there are the differences in between these two terms. Number one is the key performance areas, like it includes the crucial achievements areas. Like when you join any organization, there is some achievement space for you. All that are the kind of the functions that comes into your domain, and you would be responsible for them. Then what is key result area? It is a crucial or the main outcome space, or you can take it as crucial outcome space. These are the kind of the areas which are critical to your success. Like you have to just achieve them. You have to be the like result oriented. Then only there would be the chances of your promotion, of your good performances in the organization. If you will again go with the differences between the KRA and the KPA, you can just take it as like when you join any job, so there is a JD, that is the job description. All the activities are listed in the JD, and whenever these activities are enlisted, it falls into two categories, category A and category B. Category A includes the list of the functions and activities which are very much significant, crucial and critical for the job role. So these are called as the KRAs. Category B includes the list of the functions and activities associated with the job role, but not only critical for the role. So this includes all your general responsibilities that you have to perform on that particular job designation. So that is the main difference between KRA and KPA. Here we can take an example of the product manager. The goal is to ensure the delivery of the quality product within the schedule. The key result area is like he is responsible for customer satisfaction, product management, operational cost control, quality check and record keeping. So these all are very much crucial to his job. These are the areas in which he has to just like complete his role. Like it is very critical for his success, that it is all the outcomes that he has to achieve on his job if he want to be a good performer. Then what are the key performance areas? It includes all other responsibilities, even includes the general kind of the aspects also for any job, like maintaining good working condition in plant, optimum resource utilization, process improvement, safety and prevention planning and control, and working within the company service level agreement. So these all are the various areas which are the part of that particular job designation, and it would always be attached to that particular job designation, and an employee who is on that particular designation has to perform all of them. So that is the main difference between KRA and KPA. Now comes the key performance indicators. Again, this is the third important method of the performance planning. Key performance indicators may be defined as a measurable value that demonstrates how effectively a company is achieving the key business objectives. Like it is a kind of a quantifiable measurement with the help of which one can identify his or her performance. Not only that employee, even the management of that company can just assess and evaluate the performances of the employees. Like one way to evaluate the relevance of the KPI is to use the SMART criteria. Like whenever you are setting any KPI, so you should just always take into consideration the SMART criteria. Like SMART includes like your objectives are specific. Can you measure the progress towards that goal? Is the goal realistically attainable? How relevant is the goal? And what is the time frame for achieving that goal? So the KPIs must be set by any manager in the organization keeping in mind the SMART criterias. Now the what exactly how we can define the term KPI. For example, like if we are talking about the aviation industry, so it can be PLF. PLF means passenger loading factor. Like if the PLF is good in any aviation company or in any aviation industry, so that means the it is really doing well. So we can just quantify it, we can measure it in terms of the numerical statements. So that's why it makes easy for any company to assess and evaluate the performances. Whenever any person joins any organization, for every KRA there is a KPI. For every key result area there may be KPI, key performance indicator, quantitative measurement, you can say like quantitative measurement criteria, with the help of which one can just check or one can just assess the performance of that particular employee. Now there is a process for building the effective KPI. First, identify the objectives. The organization must identify all the objectives. Then the KPI matrices must be established in the organization. Actually, I have already told you that KPI matrices provides a quantifiable data which is used to compare the actual performance against the set standards. Like to establish meaning and relevant KPIs, following questions are required to answer. What is the time duration to achieve the target? Is there any threshold limit to achieve the goal each time? What are the financial aspects related to the goal achievement? Are the operating expenses of the company in line with the sales revenue being generated, or do they need to be reduced? Then step third is, once you have identified the objectives, you have established the relevant KPI matrices also, the third step comes as formulating an action strategy. So after doing all this, one can just develop the effective KPI systems in the organization. There is a difference between KRA and KPI also. Like key result area is a strategic factor that is internal to the organization, or it may be external also, where strong positive results must be realized for the organization. You just take it as for every particular job profile, job role or job designation, there would be 6-9 areas in which the employee must be good and he has to work. It is all the kind of the result, it is all the kind of the outcome that the management is expecting from that particular employee. But once we can just measure all that specific key result areas in the quantitative terms, so that can be called as the key performance indicator. So key performance indicators can be defined as the high level measurements or matrices for one particular objective, which when measured and reported give the leadership team an indication as to whether the organization is making progress towards achieving that particular objective or not. So there is a difference between KRA and KPI. KRA may be 6 to 9, but KPIs are always specific for any particular KRA. Like for a one KRA, like you can just have the KPI, the quantitative measurement system, with the help of which you can assess the performances of the employees. Maybe that this example will make the picture more clear to you. Like here you can see the first, like the corporate objective and the strategy of the company is to improve the company competitive positioning and productivity by 10%. What is the HR department objective? To achieve high productivity level in all activities, say by 10%. What is KRA number 1? If any HR department employee we are talking about, for example, for the HR manager, there are a lot of the KRAs he has to achieve. The first result which management is expecting from is the recruitment and selection function, then workplace management, safety and health at the workplace, KRA 4 is building capabilities and organizational learning. So all these are the KRAs. Now for the specific KRA number 1, that is recruitment and selection. The key performance area is what? It is the recruitment. If you have joined on a profile of HR manager, so recruitment would be your task. You have to do it. What is the KPI for it? Reduce average time taken to fill vacancies by 15%. Here you can see they have added some quantitative measurable term, that is to just check whether the recruitment manager is able to reduce the time to fill the vacancies by 15% or not. KPI again can be reduced average cost per recruit by 10%, like he has to do something with which he can reduce the expenses of the recruitment. So whenever your performances are measurable in the quantifiable terms, that can be called as the KPI. And for each KPA there is a specific KPI. So that may be the main difference between the KRA, KPA and KPI. Now the next is the KSA. KSA may be defined as a knowledge, skills and abilities. Actually, it is a kind of a statement in which there is a detailed list of the qualifications which are required by an employee to perform any job. It is sometimes taken by the people as like, where is the Waldo? Like, where is that specified good person who has all the qualifications to perform the particular job? Like, this is a kind of a tool which is used by the federal government. They use the KSA as a selection tool in the initial stages of the hiring process for the majority of their federal jobs. Like, sometimes it is most often presented in the form of a supplemental job application with 3 or more job specific, usually 1-page essay questions. So this is a statement that helps in the hiring procedure of any organization. It includes all the detailed list of the qualifications which are required to perform by any incumbent to perform on that particular job. The next thing is the task analysis. This is again can be defined as a like job in terms of a KSA necessary to perform the daily task. It is a kind of a statement which includes various jobs which are required by any employee to perform. Like, the way in which it can be prepared is that, like, whosoever is working on that particular job must prepare a comprehensive list of his work, that what exactly he used to do on his job, and he can start with the most important task. Then he can compare like his list with the others also. Like, once he has just prepared the list, then the managers can just compare their list of tasks with the employee list of tasks, and then they can discuss the differences if there is any, and then the managers can change whatever they think as the appropriate. Once the detailed task of the statement is well prepared, so that kind of the task statement can be used for maintaining the JDs, like job descriptions for any particular job role. The one important thing related with the task analysis is that, like, once the task statement has been defined, the task analysis will then go into the further detail by describing the task frequency, difficulty of learning, importance of training, task criticality, task difficulty, and overall task performance. Now there is a process of performance planning. Like, when we talk about the performance planning, it starts with the business planning, and then once there is a proper planning and the strategies have been identified for any kind of a business, then the key success factors are identified. These factors may include the cost of production, productivity, quality, delivery, responsiveness, branding, etc. Then accordingly, the departmental objectives and strategies are maintained and set by the management, and based on that, the individual objectives are set for the individual employees, and the action plans are also discussed with the employees. And then the individual performance expectation comes. It involves setting individual performance standards, like telling to the employees that what are the expectations of the management from them and how well they have to complete it. Like, this is the diagram. Here you can see first the performance planning starts. Here it is all dependent on the mission and objectives of the organization. Then it all comes from the business planning. Then the key success factors are identified in the organization. Whenever the key success factors are identified, it is all based on the risk analysis, resource allocation, work planning, and the priority setting. Based on that, the departmental objectives and strategies are set, and then on that basis, the objectives and strategy for the individual employees are set. And at last, the management communicates them, the employees to the employees, the management communicates their expectations, like what exactly they need or what exactly is required by the employees to perform on that particular job. So this is all like how the performance planning works in any organization. So this is all for this lecture. Thank you. In our next lecture, we will discuss about the rest of the important steps of the performance management process. Thank you.